Hi there, Lori here from Unique in the Creek, and today we are going to put together this gorgeous, elegant, most wonderful time of the year. Right now it's being sold as a kit. However, you can buy all the materials separately, and you can use different ribbons for your wreath if you want. As you can see, I've chosen these absolutely gorgeous, elegant colors. This is a deep cranberry velvet. And then we got a cranberry black with silver striped plaid. And there's just a 1.5 inch black glitter ribbon. We got some snowball mesh. And this is 10.5 by 10 yards. We got our zip ties. These are 18-pound zip ties, 6 inches. If you got the kit, you'll get clothespins and a wire cutter. And this is to cut off the ends of your zip ties so you don't dull your good ribbon scissors. And you also get this poinsettia pick, which you can use or you don't have to use. This is going to be absolutely beautiful, but I think a little hint of the poinsettias will just set it right apart from anything else. And then you get, of course, the Unique in the Creek character board, and this one of my very, very favorite vinyls. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I just love this vinyl. I did quite a few of them last year, and I just love them. So we're doing this with the cranberries and blacks. So as you can see, we're going to do some elegant here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we're going to put our vinyl onto our board. Okay, so you just want to make sure that there's no glitter and dog hair and everything else on it. And you're going to find the top of your board. Now the top of your board has the number 1 in between 2 holes that are divoted. Okay, they're kind of slanted in. Those are your hanging holes. So that is going to be the top of your board. So I'm going to put the top of my board right in front of me, up at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to peel off our vinyl decal. Now these are UV protected, so they will not fade. And now this is garbage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bend my vinyl kind of in half so you can see where your middle is, and I'm just going to eyeball it right onto the center here of my board. So what you're doing is you're putting the vinyls in between these last set of holes. So there's 3 holes. You're putting it where the last set is, and then I just kind of hold it up. It looks a little crooked. Now with this sign, it doesn't really matter because the actual font is on a slant, so it's just totally up to you what you feel is good for a center. Okay, and then once you have it placed down, yeah, looks good to me. I'm just going to smooth it from the center with my palm and outwards with the palm of my hand. And we're just pushing out any air bubbles that are maybe underneath. There we go. So now we just made our wreath board and our sign all one piece. Pretty cool, eh? Now what you can do is you can, if you have a Mod Podge smoother or even this is for baking, you can smooth out from the center to the outside, just in case there's any little tiny air bubbles. You can, if you don't have one of these spatulas, you can also just get a credit or a debit card and maybe wrap a piece of paper towel around it, or even a piece of toilet paper, and then smooth it from the middle out, just so you don't scratch it. If you just use the plain plastic card, it will scratch. You don't want to scratch your sign. All right, we're ready to go for that. Okay, and now we're going to preload our board. And we're going to preload row 2 right now, and we're going to preload it open, which means you're going to find row 2. Number 1, you'll see between the 2 divoted holes here. And then you'll see a number 2, and then this circumference right here is row number 2. So what you're going to do is go down and up with your zip tie. Now what you want to make sure the flat part of your zip tie is facing towards the inside of the holes. That way when you go to do it up, it's going to do up properly, because the tail needs to go through the flat part of the zip tie head. Okay, so down and up, and we're not closing these. A lot of times I do the flowers and I'll say preload the board closed. But on the character board, we're going to be doing some poofs. So we're going to preload them open. So again, making sure the flat part of the zip tie is towards the center of the 2 holes. Okay, now we're going to put our board to the side and we're going to prepare our materials or supplies to get ready. Okay, so we're going to cut our ribbons. So you want to have a nice sharp pair of scissors for your ribbon cutting. And we are going to need 16 pieces of each ribbon. So that's 16 14-inch pieces of this beautiful red. With, oh, it's so gorgeous. It's got sparkles in it. So we need 14 of those, or 16 of those at 14 inches. We are going to need 16 of these beautiful black. I did good with this kit. This is going to be gorgeous. And then this gorgeous plaid and red with silver running through it. That's going to be so stunning. Okay, so we'll start with our 14-inch one. Now you can use a ruler. So if you have a ruler, like a fabric ruler, you know, from seamstresses, you can tape it down on the table. You can use a cutting mat to measure your tails, or you can cut a piece of cardboard at 14 inches, and you can wrap your ribbon around the cardboard. I'm going to be using our Measure Buddy. This Measure Buddy measures ribbons and mesh and yarn and all kinds of stuff we use for crafting with just this one little handy tool. And if you pull up 1 and 2, you can measure up to 20 inches. However, we only need 14 inches, so we only need to pull up number 1. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting my ribbons, and we need 16 at 14 inches. So I'm going to do 8 at a time. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now you want to pull it tight if you're wrapping. That way you'll get the a correct distance. You know, the last ribbon may be a little past 14 inches. And then you just slide your scissors into the little ledge here on the end, and you cut one end, and you can also slip it off now. Oops. And then you can cut down the other end. But you can also cut it on the Measure Buddy as well. It does have a little ledge on both sides. So that's 8. So we need to do another 8. Easier if you kind of pull this out. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really twisting on me. 7, and 8. Usually I use my spool holder, which I will for the next ones. I just wanted to show you in case you didn't have a spool holder. You just have to, you can even drop it on the ground and let it unroll. Okay, so I'm going to again slide my scissors through the ledge, and I'm going to do it the same at this side too. Alrighty, so we got 16 pieces of the red. We'll be coming back for this in a bit. Okay, we're going to do 16 pieces of the plaid as well. Now this you could probably wrap a little more around, so I might even go around the 16 times because it is thin and it's not thick like this velvet one is. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is going to be full of beautiful ribbons. Do you see how easy it is with the spool holder? You don't get all the twisting and turning. And then you're just going to cut down the edges again. So that one was easy because it's thin. And then we'll do 16 of the black glitter. We got 16 of each piece. So now with your ribbon, you're going to cut 2 pieces of 24" of each color. So we're going to cut 2 red at 24 inches. Okay. We're going to cut 2 of the plaid at 24 inches. One, 2, and 2 of the black at 24 inches. Okay, once you have those cut, we're just going to put them aside for the end of our wreath. This will be pretty much the last step. So just fold them up and put them over to the side. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to prepare our ribbon. I'm going to dovetail the ends of our ribbons. So what that means is you can take probably about 4 ribbon, butt them up at the end, fold it in half, and where the folded edge is here, that's where you're going to cut from the folded edge to the corner of the ribbon. Now if you don't have very sharp scissors or you're unsure, just maybe do 2 or 3 pieces at a time. Mine are pretty sharp. These are brand new scissors, so I know I can cut 4 of these. It is a thick velvet ribbon. So you want to make sure that your tails look nice and not ragged. So if you have dull scissors and you try to cut too much ribbon at the same time, it won't be so nice and neat, your V. Okay, so you just make sure the ends are together. And we're going to dovetail all of these. You're going to dovetail the red, you're going to dovetail the black, and you're going to dovetail the plaid. Now what I'm going to do, again, we're still in the prepping stage. It's just much easier to do your prepping and then putting your wreath together is a breeze. So you're going to take a piece of the red, you're going to take a piece of the plaid, and you're going to take a piece of the black and fold it in half and make a little packet, I guess, if you want to call it. Okay, once you got all your ribbon done, we are going to cut our mesh. We are going to need 13-inch ruffles, 16 of them. 16 13-inch ruffles. Now I'm just going to use my cutting mat for this. So I'm just going to roll my mesh out. And I'm going to cut it at the 26 and then again at 13. And we need 16 of these. Now why I'm doing it at the beginning is because to make your ruffles, they turn out much nicer when the mesh is not so curled. And once you get towards the center of the roll of your mesh becomes really curly. So I find doing your ruffles with the beginning of the mesh, because you have more flat pieces, makes a much, much nicer product. So that's 2. 4. So again, you can use a ruler with some scissors. If you don't have a cutting mat, you can use a piece of cardboard cut at 13 inches. You can use measuring tape. However, you can get 13-inch pieces. Alrighty, we have 16 ruffles here. So I got 2 bundles of 8. I'm just going to put that at the side. And this is snow drift mesh with an iridescent in it. So it's very pretty as well. Alright, I think we're ready to start building our wreath. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to take your board and we're going to take our roll of mesh, the leftover roll of mesh, scrunch it up at the bottom, just like this, okay? And I'm just going to pick wherever and start my anchoring my mesh onto the board, right there. So I'm just going to cut this tail off, and this is what these little pink handle things are for. You go straight down to the zip tie head and clip the tail right off. Okay, so for our poops, we are going to do approximately 8-inch poops, and what I like to do is just count 4 holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to pull it out to here, push it back, and do the zip tie up where my hand was. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and after you do this a while, you don't have to count, but it makes like the perfect size poops. So you're pulling it straight out, right across, not rounded or anything. You could just do it straight across and bring it back and zip tie where your hand was. Okay, we're come to the end where we anchored in. All I'm going to do is just put another zip tie right over top of that one and finish our poof off. And this gives us a nice base for our wreath. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Just pull it out. There we go. So this wreath takes 1 roll of 10-inch mesh. Now I'm going to cut this off the roll. So I got a little bit left. Okay, we're going to go around and take our little wire nippers and clip off the zip tail ends. So just go straight down, hit the head of the zip tie and squeeze. I love working with zip ties because I know the wreath is going to be very well made because it's not going to fall apart with the zip ties. I find sometimes if you use, you know, pipe cleaners or Chanel stems, sometimes they can be a little flimsy and you can't get everything as tight as you want it. And I just prefer working with zip ties because I know everything's pretty much plastic and it's going to last. And I know I'm giving my customer good quality. Okay, that step is done. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to work on row 1. So that's the outside row. Okay, so what we're going to do is every other hole on row 1, every other hole. So I did mark it on my board and you'll have it on your worksheet, but where I put a little T, that's to remind me that's where the tails are going. So I got a T blank, T blank, T blank, T blank, T, all the way around. What that means to me is I'm going to get my clothespins. You're going to get your ribbon packets here and your mesh that you cut. What you're going to do is you're going to take a zip tie, okay, and I just use the table, so I go down with my zip tie and make like an L shape with it, making sure that the flat part of the zip tie is going to meet up with the tail of the zip tie. Okay, so if you make sure that the flat part is facing outwards, your zip tie will be perfect. Now you're going to do is you're going to take a strip of this 13-inch mesh you cut. Okay, this is the cut edge and this is the finished edge, the factory finished edge. You want the finished edge on the sides. Okay, so that's the sides. there is a natural curl because it was all rolled up and it's plastic to the mesh. We're going to be using this curl side down. Okay, so like that. So if I let go, it's going to pop up. If we were using curl side up, when I'd open it up, it looked like a U. Okay, we're going to use it downwards. I got my clothespin, my extra set of hands, and what I'm going to do is scrunch right up the center of this snowdrift right here, pinching between my forefingers and my thumb. Okay, and so you just want to pinch. Now when I start my pinch and end, I try and make sure that that cut edge is facing towards the table. That way you don't see if it starts to fray or anything, because it's facing down. Okay, so we're going to scrunch, scrunch, scrunch all the way up like that. So you got like a butterfly looking formation. Okay, I'm going to throw a clothespin on there because now I'm going to get my ribbon. And this piece of mesh is going to have ribbon tails in it too. Now, there's many different ways you can do your ribbon tails. A lot of people just pile them right on top of each other like that, and then you just pinch it in the middle and then flip it up. And then once it's in there, you can move your tails around. I like to stagger mine a little. So put one just above, so step it. And then you could do, let's do this one like this. Let's see what we have. Okay, so you want to make sure where your middle is. So make a little crease. Okay. And you just scrunch up the middle of these ribbon pieces. Now, doing it like that, you're already separating your ribbons before you even put it into your wreath. Okay, I just prefer to do it like that. You can do it however you've seen done or however you like. You might even come up with your own way. Okay, so I'm just going to put a clothespin on that because I'm going to take this one off, and this bow tie, I'm going to flip it so it looks like this. And we want the edges about the same length when we flip it. So you can see it's pretty much the same. Okay, I'm going to take this rounded part, put it right onto the board. Okay. And I have my zip tie in between the center of both of the ruffle pieces here. So I put the center of the ruffle right on the board in between the zip tie. Okay, let's see if I can get down just a little bit closer. I can't. Oh, maybe go. There we go. Okay, you can even throw a clothespin on there if you want. I'm going to take my ribbons, take that off, and actually it might be easier if you just did it like this. There we go. So you're putting this whole thing right on top, and we're going to go around the middle. Okay, before we tighten it up, let's make sure everything is even. So I'm checking to make sure my ruffle is about the same. My ribbon's nice. So you can see how when the way I stepped it and put it in, it separates the ribbon really nice. And pull this nice and tight, and you're going to clip off the zip tie tail. Look how pretty. And this is going to go all the way around. So the next one, my next hole, is just a ruffle. So you can take your zip tie, go straight down, make your L. So use your table or your lap or whatever you're doing. Take your ruffle or your 13-inch piece. Again, serged edges are on the side, or factory edges. Scrunch, 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 all the way up to the end. Flip it. So you got your thumb is here, your pointer finger is here, and your ring finger is there. And you're making like a rounded part there. I'm just going to put that right on the board and put my zip tie going around and tighten it up. So that one has no tails. Now look how much bigger our wreath looks already, just by putting these ruffles in. Okay, next one, we have tails. So I'm putting my zip tie down, make my L shape, take my piece, scrunch all the way up, clothespin on it, just take a piece of our ribbon, so I think that one I put the black on the bottom. I think this one I'm going to put the plaid on the bottom and the black on the top. And then when I go to put it into the wreath, it'll look just a little bit different. It'll actually give it a really, really cool effect. So again, I'm just scrunching all the 3 ribbons together, pinch it in the center just like that. Okay, now I'm going to flip it up, and what I'm doing when I flip it up is I'm making sure that all the tails are around the same length. Okay, that not one's like really short and down here. Okay, I'm going to take this between my fingers again, take my ruffle, put my ruffle right on the board, the center of it, put my ribbons, and then I'm grabbing my zip tie tail, and then the head, and just zipping it together. Now I'm not doing it really tight until I make sure I can, that the ruffle is the same correct length, and that my ribbons are laying pretty. See how now, if I had put the black on the bottom, it would have hit this black one. But since I did the plaid on the bottom, it crosses over this black one, and it looks so nice. So the next one I will do the black on the bottom, and so on and so forth. Okay, we're all good. Do it up, clip it off. So we're slowly building our wreath. And it is going to be gorgeous. All right, the next one is just plain ruffle. So again, just make a little L on your table with your zip tie. And we're going to do a straight plain ruffle. Again, this is our 13-inch piece. So when I'm folding it up, I'm just eyeballing to see if around the same length. And I'm taking the center, putting it right on the board. I can let go of my ruffle because I'm holding the ruffle in the center as well as my zip tie, and zip tie it. Now if you're struggling and you can't coordinate enough, you can use pipe cleaners, especially with the ribbons. But I just find the ribbons are really in there really well with the pipe cleaners. I mean with the zip ties, and then when you flip it over, you still have a really nice back of your wreath. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with tails, and this time I had the plaid on the bottom. This time I'm going to put the plaid on the top. So I can see my line from folding it in half. So you want to match up all the center lines. Okay, there we go. Let me flip it up. Again, making sure. Put a clothespin on there for now. Grab my piece of mesh. Zip tie. Okay, once we got all the tails on, what I'm going to do is just go around and I'm just going to kind of push down on it. Okay, so they're not so sticking straight up in the air. Just like that, because we are going to add 2 bows, just small, simple bows, and some more tails on row 1. So we want these to spread out. So this wreath is about 28 inches when it's completed. It is a big wreath considering we started with a 16-inch frame. And as we're pushing down a bit, it does make the mesh push out too, so it'll probably be about 29 inches when it's all said and done. So I'm just kind of pressing down. There, you can see how it's like spreading out. Okay. And all our ruffles are nice. And I like how the 2 front ones crisscross, so they're not the same. If we did, you know, the black in the front, all the black in the front. Okay, so what we're going to do is, on my board, I did mark a B on the back. On your pattern, you'll see there's 2 B's. So what the B indicates is where I'm going to put a bow, okay? You can mark your board as well, like I've done. I just use Sharpie. It does come off with alcohol or nail polish remover. I'm just looking for my markers. Oh, it's on the floor. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 matching corresponding bows. So I'm going to have a bow here. So it'll be right here where the B is, and then I'm going to go right over here, and that's where I'm going to put another one. So there's going to be 2 bows absolutely matching. Now, when you flip the wreath over, I marked my bow. There is going to be tails on row 1. Okay, so this zip tie has tails in it. This one doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tails into row 1 here. So I'm just going to mark a little T. You'll be able to tell by your pattern. So this one is nothing, and this one's going to have some of the tails. And this one, if I flip it over, it should have tails, which it does. So we're going to skip this one. So I'm going to put tails in this one. Skip, tails, skip. There's my other bow. Skip, tails, skip, tails, skip, tails. Okay? So, like I said, you can erase this if you want to make your pattern on there, or you can just look at your paper. But you got your bows going on, and then we have every other one going tails. If you already have tails on row 1 and you go to put, or on row 2, no, row 1, and you're going to put the tails on row 2, know that you're doing it not the right way that I'm doing in this instructional. Okay, so obviously this one will not have no tails because I already have it here. This one will, unless it's a bow. No, it has tails. So let's just start with this one. So anywhere I put a T, I'm going to put a zip tie going down and back up the zip tie. Even though there's one there, this is where it's easier if you use pipe cleaners, but zip ties are pennies, so I know it's going to be in correct, and it's going to stay in with the zip tie. So, and then we're going to do our tails exactly like we did on the outside row. Okay, so I think I guess it really doesn't matter as long as I keep the same pattern on row 2. You can see my center. And this time it's a little easier because you're just putting the tails right in on the zip tie here. You don't have to worry about any mesh or anything. So do it up. Now I don't have it completely tight. Now, if this is too much ribbon, now I said no crafter ever, but if it is too much ribbon for you, you can alternate and just put 2 pieces of ribbon in each where it's supposed to have tails, and then alternate the black and the plaid. That is totally up to you. But I did say at the beginning of this, we are going to have a chock full, beautiful, elegant wreath. Now these ones are going to go more to the sides here and not to the back. Just like that. So we'll fix it up after we're done. So we're skipping this one. We're going to this one, and if I flip it over, it's got a T, so I'm just going to put tail in. And this time I'm going to put the plaid on the bottom and the black on the top. And normally when I do these kinds of wreaths, I only usually use 2 ribbons, or I'll have 3 ribbons and I'll alternate, like I said. So I'll use a 2.5 inch and then only one of the 1.5 inch, and then the next section I'll do the 2.5 inch with the other 1.5 inch. But this one, I wanted it all full out. It's going to be, I wanted it to be a showstopper. So see how I put the bottom plaid? That way it's not, we don't have all black. Okay, pull it tight, and we're just cutting this. Now we end up doing our ribbons a million times, but my final one is when I put it actually on the door. So make sure, if you're making a wreath, please, please, please make sure, if you're spending all this time, that you're going to spend your time making your tails, making everything really pretty. Okay, the next one. So this one is skip. This one is a bow, and I'm going to wait to the end for that one. So I'm not going to do that one. So this one would be a skip. So this one is a tail, and sure enough, that's a tail. And then I had black on the bottom, so this time I'll do plaid. Oh, actually, I didn't have anything at the bottom. That's the that's where the bow is going. So over here I did plaid, so I'll just do black on the bottom. Ribbon is thick. Okay, we're skipping that one, and tails. Again, I want to stress is this is your wreath, and you put as much or as little ribbons as you like in your wreath. So if my wreath, when I'm finished, if it's too much ribbon for you, then you can do like I said and just put the 2.5 inch paired with just 1.5 inch and alternate. All right, we're skipping and tail. And I used plaid on the bottom, so I will do black on the bottom. Skip, we're probably coming to the bow, yep, and then we skip, and this is our last set of tails, I think. All right, so we are done row 1 tails, and we're going to move on to the 2 bows, and we are almost done. Okay, we're almost done. Yay! Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy bow. This is if you do not have access to a bow maker, or you're not good at making hand bows or anything. This is just a cute little shortcut I used to come up with when I used to do workshops with people. It was easy for them to do, and it was just building the bow piece by piece, okay? So you're going to take one of your 24 inches. Now you will need a hot glue gun. I recommend a hot glue gun. You can do it without hot gluing the ribbon, and overlapping a little bit more. But if you do have a hot glue gun, I do advise using it for this part, okay? So you're going to take your 24-inch piece of ribbon and you're going to fold it in half, okay? And we're going to make the crease. All right, and what you're going to do is take your glue gun and you're going to put a little line of glue just past that crease mark. Bring the right side of the tail over and glue it down. And then you're going to take your glue gun again and put another strip, okay, and bring that back over and glue it down. Okay, and you're going to do this for all 6 pieces of your 24-inch ribbon. Again, if you have a bow maker, go ahead and use it, and we're just making a 6-loop bow, so 2 loops of each ribbon color. But this is kind of a cheater bow for beginners because it's pretty easy. So I'm just, again, folding, just putting glue just past the halfway mark. Okay, there's one set. And we're going to do it again with this one. Oh, this ribbon's a little bent here. That's okay. Okay, so we're going to start building our bow. You're going to need 2 zip ties, 1 for each bow. Okay, and you still have 2 extra 14-inch tails. We're going to be using that for each bow. So what we're going to do is we're going to build our bow, and we're going to build it from the bottom up. Okay, so I'm going to lay my zip tie down on the table with the flat side facing up towards the ceiling. Now what I'm going to do with this ribbon is I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to give it a little snip right in the middle, just a little one. Okay, don't go too far into the middle, just a little snip. And this just helps when you want to turn your bows, like the loops of your bows. It helps it turn and maneuver it a lot better than if we just piled it on top of each other. And that probably doesn't make sense, but it will once I get this going. So again, just a little snip, sticking it right in the middle, a little snip. Okay, so you can see there's just little snips. Okay. So you don't want to go in too far. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our tails, because we're starting from the bottom up, building our bow. So I'm going to stagger the tails again. So I got 2.5 inch, the black and the plaid, and that's how I'm going to build my bow as well. So the red will be on the bottom, the black will be in the middle, and the plaid will be on the top. Okay, let's just put that right there on top. So the middle is just right on our zip tie. And there is many different ways of making a bow. This is just an easy bow to make. I can't even see where my seam is. If you don't have all the fun, bow makers and stuff like that. Okay, so what I've done is I put the seam, that's where we glued it, that's facing down. And then we're going to do the black. The seam is facing down. Can't really tell though. And then the plaid, and where the little snips are, they're lined up in the center of our bow here. I'm just going to put that on top of our zip tie as well, and make sure this is thick ribbon, so usually when you have, it's the velvet that's really thick. It's a little easier when you have using a bit thinner ribbon. Okay, so the tail is going to go on the bottom, and these are going to go on the top, and you're going to take your zip tie, and you're going to go around the center of it. Just like that. We're going to make sure the zip tie is going into the seam, or the little snips we did. And it is. Our tails are coming down. Again, this is just a different way to build a bow. So once it looks like this, we're going to take the zip tie, flip it over, and bring your zip tie head right to the back, and scrunch and pull that zip tie nice and tight, just like that. Okay, and you can take your, so we have this cute looking bow without a bow maker. So once we put it in the wreath, we can then move around the loops, and it's much easier to do it in the wreath. So we can put that going this way, this one going that way, this black one going this way, and we'll of course open up the loops once we get in there, and we'll just keep the red going straight out. Okay, and then I'm going to make this one. 2 bows. Now we're going to take this ginormous mountain of wreath, and where we're going, okay, we marked our wreath with a B and a B for the bow. What we're going to be doing is putting a zip tie from this hole to this hole, right in the middle, okay? This is where our bow is going, right between here. So 1 bow here and 1 bow here. So I'm going to take a zip tie. Okay, and I'm just going to do it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going down through this hole. Okay, there is my zip tie. The head is on the bottom. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to take this bow, and my tails are going to go towards the outside of the wreath. Okay. I'm taking this zip tie, going around the center and going back down this hole. Okay, just like that. Give it a little zip. Now we do not want to tighten this, we just want to lock it. So you hear a couple zips, we're going to leave that. Cut that zip tail off. Push the head of it right straight down so everything's still nice. And now we can open up our loops. It could be probably brought down a little bit more. Just tighten it a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to open up our loops. Pulling the tails out. So there's coming out the back. Okay, I'm leaving my red right down the middle. And with doing those little snips is you can twist those loops now. So I got the black and plaid, and then plaid and black, and then just the red is on the sides. And that's just a simple, well, I wouldn't, it's time consuming, but it's an easy way to make a bow when you don't have a bow maker and you want like a loopy bow type thing going on, you know. So you open up your loops, and then your tails are coming out the end. They're pretty, so we're going to put the other one on the other side. This, I should have just called this a ribbon wreath. But it is, I told you it would make a statement. So again, we're going to end up going around, fixing our ribbon tails. But this is something else. So again, I'm going to flip this over. I can just bring my zip tie up through the hole there. Get my bow. Again, the tails are going to be facing towards the out of the wreath. Okay, so take this, go around the center of the bow and back down the hole. And I am using, no, it went on the wrong hole. I'm using that middle hole, and I'll flip it over. The in-between space. And go down. Now, if you have a pipe cleaner and you like to make your bows with pipe cleaner, that's fine too. I just like to show how to do this stuff without using extra stuff and only what's in the kit. Okay, so we're tighten that a bit. Push the head down into the hole, and we're going to snip this off. And again, fluff our loops. So we want one plaid going this way, that plaid going this way, the black one. So it's almost an X. And the red will stay in the center. So those little snips really, really help maneuver your loops. And you can add more loops if you want to. I think 6 is plenty. Okay. Now the last, well, not the last thing, but one of the next things we're going to do is we have, now you can use these if you want. There is 6 poinsettias on these bushes. I'm going to cut them off. About an inch, leaving us about an inch of stem left. And I'm going to nestle 3 poinsettias heads right in the center of my bow. And that's why we made the loops so long. So you can do 1 if you want, just want 1. One looks pretty. Actually, that looks really pretty with just 1, doesn't it? Let's see what 3 looks like. Mine are kind of squished. Oh, 3 looks, I love it. 3 is pretty. So I'm just going to hot glue these in. Now, you can zip tie them into the center with your bow if you want. But just hot gluing them in works just as well too. So I'm just going to put some hot glue in the middle of my bow there, and a little bit on the end of the stem, just so it doesn't come off. And then just, there's 1. So the end of the stem is actually in the glue that I put in the middle of the bow. 3. Wow. Hold that down, make sure they're in the glue for just a few seconds. Okay, and then these, we didn't open the poofs. You can if you want, but they look perfect when they're just not, they're only half open. It's a lot of wreath, but it's worth it. All right, we'll do the same thing over on this bow. Got our poinsettias. Putting a little pool of glue in the bottom there. And I'm using Gorilla Glue. So Gorilla Glue works really well. And last one. Just hold those 3 in. All right, and again, we're fixing ribbon. So I went all out with the ribbon. You do not have to. You can put as many pieces as you like. If you don't want as much ribbon, like I said, just do 1 piece of 2.5 and then 1.5 for each of the tails where you're supposed to put them. And you won't have as much, as long as you alternate. So you don't want the same ribbon side by side. Alrighty, so let's put a hanger on this. Glitter all in the center. right. So I'm going to flip this over. Right here, there's 2 holes. I did use one for the outside of the piece of mesh. You're going to go down 1 hole and up the other. And just zip it a few zips. Cut the tail off. Whew! And if you wrote on your back, you're going to have to get some alcohol or some nail polish remover or something and just rub that off. There we go. Look at this. Let's see what it ended up coming to. 28 inches. 28 inches. Well, that was a long one, but look at the end results. It is absolutely stunning. So let me know how you did with yours. Please take your time. Just go step by step, rewind, pause if you need to, go back and rewatch. Just take your time and have fun with it. There's not a race. And this one actually makes the perfect Christmas gift for somebody that you love. Alrighty, guys. Thanks again for joining me and for watching me make this ginormous, elegant wreath. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.